Hello everyone, I'm Roberto Coscia, QA engineer with 6+ years of experience. And in today's video, I'm gonna show you a new release that has been made by ElevenLabs, which actually it could be the first model that beats the notebook LM Google One. This model has released a new feature that allows to create podcasts out of article, videos, and documents. But not only it limits to that, but it also allows you to edit, to interact with the podcast, but also to make pauses and editing to the results. So as we can see here, with new upgrades, Studio helps bring audiobook voiceovers, article, and even podcast to life with multiple characters. So you can use the voices, characters that are already inside ElevenLabs to use it for. So this was launched first in 2023. The studio now, which with the previous name was Project, now is called Studio. You can add pauses to the podcast to where you prefer. You can basically customize the way it talks, which is very interesting. Gen FM is now available in Studio with powerful new features. So Gen FM, it makes easy to create podcast style discussion between AI voices using any source material you can find. Either upload a document or import some content from a URL. Choose whether you want a conversation between a host and guest and just a bulletin from a host and click generate. This will create a fully editable podcast exploring your content. So you can create a full podcast out of this. As you can see here, you can add the voice, you can of the guest and of the user. You can choose them. You can choose the model, you can upload documents, and you can choose the quality and the language of the podcast. So let's have a look to this feature. We are here to ElevenLabs, and as you can see here, this is the new feature that has been created. If you don't know, ElevenLabs is a company which basically built a lot of features related to AI, like voice dubbing, voice recreation, text to speech, voice changers, creation of sound effect from prompts, conversational AI, even agents, and voice isolator, AI speech classifier, voiceover studio, audio native. Basically, now it created this feature which was called project. And as you can see, you can add a document that you can write from scratch, an audiobook, for example, if you have an EPUB file, an article from an URL, and same thing here. You can add an URL and create a podcast. Let's try first an article. Let's say something that talks about AI, an article wrote in Medium. I will copy the link, then I will paste it here. I cloned in the past my voice, but it's decent, better. It doesn't have an accent, which is great. Let's see what comes out of this. So this is create an article, auto-assign voices. No, now put mine. Create. Let's see what comes here. Then we'll see next the create a podcast. Let's just explore this feature. So as you can see, it after only 20 seconds probably, it create an article out of another article or out of a URL. It is also editable. You can generate probably to make a different version of the article based on another article. Let's see what happens if I click generate.
Hinton believes we're at a pivotal moment in history where decisions made now will shape the future of AI and, by extension, humanity. It's a grand statement, reminiscent of a climactic scene in a movie. But as with all things AI, there's enormous uncertainty about what's going to happen next. Perhaps the real message here is that while AI has the potential to change the world, it's ultimately up to us humans to decide its fate.
That's really interesting. First of all, write in the comment if you feel this voice resemble mine. It definitely doesn't have my Italian accent. Secondly, it generated the article from the URL from the real article, and it gave me also a brief of that article, which sounds very interesting and useful thing to have.
Hinton believes we're at a pivotal moment in history
The interesting part is that you can edit the article the way you want, insert a break, and if you click chapter, you can also add chapters to the article. This seems very good use case in case you need to create, let's say, a research based on different news. You can basically input them and customize the generation, repurpose the article, and modify it. Probably you needed the article to as a baseline and to modify it to take notes. Basically, you could use a website information that then you could take the information you need.
The debate around AI isn't just limited to its potential dangers.
It's interesting that if you select text and then click to regenerate session, it will create also an audio out of it. Apart of repurposing articles and to edit them, I cannot imagine right now other use case you can use this. If you do, please let me know here in the comments. Let's move back to the main section and let's create a podcast out of, let's see, from a URL. Let's try from a video first of all. Let's take a same team video about AI, the opinion of the future of AI from the godfather of AI. Let's paste it. Let's insert my voice and let's generate. Interestingly, it's taking right now 50%, about 30 seconds, but to be honest, not more than Notebook LM, the competitor of Google, does. Here we go. Now, ElevenLabs project with its feature studio created a podcast which is ready. We can see here the text which you can edit, and we can either play the podcast. We can also edit the text. We can add the pauses, the email. As you can see, you can add the pauses, probably writing 1.2s. Let's try it. If you click here, it will add a break. So you don't need to write what I was doing, 1.2 sec. You just have to click this and then you can edit with how long you want. Let's see the result.
Artificial dot. Intelligence just learned how to pretend to be less capable to avoid human restrictions. And that's just the beginning of what keeps the godfather of AI up at night.
It read me the paragraph that I selected. Let's read this.
You know what's fascinating about this? The fact that Geoffrey Hinton, the very person who created the foundation for modern AI, is now raising these serious concerns. That's like Einstein warning us about the dangers of nuclear physics.
Very fascinating. The how to resemble my voice, but not my accent. You can select it all and it will play all the podcasts.
Artificial dot. Intelligence just learned how to pretend to be less capable to avoid human restrictions. And that's just the beginning of what keeps the godfather of AI up at night.
You know what's fascinating about this? The fact that Geoffrey Hinton.
It's interesting. The podcast is really cool. You can modify text. Basically, the pro side I see is that you can edit text once it's generated, while in Notebook LM you can't do that. You generate it, you can just generate multiple times, and you don't have a possibility to edit. The only thing I'm noticing, which I thought it would be similar to Notebook LM, that to go the Notebook LM podcast, you can basically use it, also interrupt the conversation and ask question during the podcast. Here you can't do that. The only thing you can do is that you can override setting and exaggerate styles, change the stability, similarity. Same thing you can, if you click on here, you can modify this characteristic to the singular person.
Artificial dot. Intelligence just learned how to pretend to be less capable to avoid human restriction.
You can also download all the conversation one by one. I cannot understand immediately if I can download the whole file right away of the conversation or if I have to choose the file and download one by one.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the technology.
So now it, for example, I selected this and it allowed me to download that. Let's see if I select a bigger file and I click play, or let's see, play until the end. Let's try this.
The implications for society are pretty staggering when you think about it.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the technology.
So you see, you can download every single file as it play. So far, that's what I can understand. It's not super evident immediately. I can download the whole file altogether. Probably there is another way. If you know, please let me know in the comment. But it doesn't feel totally evident to me initially. But yes, it's very interesting. I'm impressed from the fact that you can edit the podcast. This can really help if you want to create podcast. It can help creating them from a conversation, from a file, and then you can modify it. Very good tool. It can definitely improve. I think it should copy the feature of interrupting also from Notebook LLM. Very good competitor. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comment. If you like the video, please consider clicking like or subscribe the channel and push the notification bell. And that's it. See you in the next video.